Okay, so there have been growing talks of inflation. And in this video, I would like to talk about just that and what it is, what it means from my perspective, the best interpretation of that I can offer you. And I want to talk about it from the standpoint of being realistic because I don't think you're getting an accurate depiction of our current situation from the mainstream media, from the corrupt politicians. They're feeding you lies and they're not really telling you the direct causes of the supposed inflation that we are currently enduring. And in doing so, it produces articles with the following headlines. Biden concedes his COVID stimulus checks fueled spike in inflation. So you see there in the title of that article, I won't read it to you because it's not worth reading, but it insinuates that the cause, or one of the main causes of this spike in inflation, is in fact the federal government pumping money into the economy by providing for the people stimulus checks. That's a direct cause and effect. It's because of this that we now have that. That's not true. And I'm going to explain it here in the video in the best way that I can. Hopefully you can come to understand it. So first of all, what is an inflation? An inflation is a general rise in prices, okay? Not every price rises at the same time. Not all prices rise the same amount, okay? One part of the economy, prices may rise while others don't, but it's generally speaking a general rise in the prices of goods and services. That's what it is. Now, speaking towards the title of this article and what many mainstream pundits and politicians are going or trying to sell to you right now, is that these rising prices have to do with the government. They're blaming the government. It has to do with wage earners making more money. So if you made $10 yesterday and you make $12 today, you were partly to blame for the rise in prices because of your wage increase. Or if you were one of the people that received that $1,400 stimulus check from President Joe Biden, you were also partly to blame for the rise in prices. You know, I never really understood why in this country, especially among the media, sorry about that, the rise in inflation, the general rise in prices, it's looked at as this mysterious, vague event that we just can't seem to understand and pinpoint where it's coming from. And there needs to be this in-depth analysis of how it came to be. Let's break this down right here. Very black and white. How do prices rise? They don't rise magically. You know, if you go from making $8 an hour to 15, it just doesn't automatically, the prices of things don't just automatically change just by the grace of God or something. Somebody's raising them. Who? Who's raising the prices? I know it would be the people that own the businesses, the CEOs, the board of directors. Ah, now it makes sense. So people are in the position of power to do so, are raising the prices. And so the mass of people, the employees, me, you, your mother, your uncle, your brother, your sister, your best friend, and everyone else, are forced to live with the consequences. Wow, so it's not magic, it's not sorcery, it's not Gandalf with his staff conjuring up a spell to rise prices. It's the employers, it's the capitalists. Okay, that seems to make a little bit more sense. Well, let's get a little bit deeper. Why are they rising the prices? Why is a select few, a handful almost, of individuals doing something that would cause difficulty for the mass of people? Let me explain some of those difficulties. When prices rise, you don't automatically get a wage increase. It's very easy for an employer to raise his or her prices. They go sit at a computer, takes about 10 to 15 minutes, then the price is raised. There's a vast array of strikes going on across this country. Thousands of workers, tens of thousands of workers. Some have been striking for weeks, months even. What are they striking for? Higher wages, among other things. But higher wages. It seems rather difficult for them to receive a wage increase. Striking is difficult. It's hard. You don't make a lot of money when you strike because you're not working. So the employees can't raise the price. They can't even raise their own wages. The employers are raising the wages. Now let's get into why they're doing so. Well, it's because of everything else that they do under capitalism. To make more money, to increase profit. That's why they're doing it. So when they see that the federal government has pumped money into the economy to provide to people these $1,400 checks, right, as recently happened not very long ago, they go, they have more money. The people, the population, the consumers, they have more money. So you know what? I'm going to bid up my prices so that I can incur more profit, so I can receive more. Oh, why would you look at that? And, it doesn't have to happen. You know what they can do? They can say, oh, okay, well, there's more money into the economy. People have more money to spend. They're hurting right now. They're struggling. They're gonna spend it because they have to. What you can then choose to do as the capitalist, as the employer, is not raise your prices necessarily, but let's order more goods and services. Let's bring in more product so that the people with the more money now have more to purchase. Wow. Oh, and by doing that, what happens as a result? Oh, well, since we're ordering more product, we may need more workers to come in to help distribute the product, take it, receive it from the truck that brings it, take it off the pallet, put it on the shelf. That seems like it'll create more jobs. But why don't they choose to do that? Why do they choose to just raise the prices? Because ordering more goods might not be as profitable. I don't know what goods the people may or may not buy. I may order something that may sit on the shelf and incur dust. The people might not want this. They might buy that, but they might not get this, and I'll lose money there. I won't make as much. It's more difficult to order product. I have to choose how much of this, how much of that. It takes a bit longer. Whereas when it comes to raising prices, I can just walk in, push a couple buttons, bada boom, bada bing. All the price tags are changed. Wow. Really puts it in perspective, doesn't it? Leaves a bad taste in your mouth, doesn't it? To know also, by the way, that a small group of people are making these decisions and the rest of us are forced to live with them. And then you have the mainstream media and the politicians feeding you, spare my language here, bullshit about why the prices are being raised. And they're even going as far as to blame you for the price increase. And they're making you self-evaluate and go, maybe people don't deserve a stimulus check, or maybe people shouldn't be paid higher wages for their work because it'll cause an inflation. As if it's destiny for it to happen that way. In 1971, a conservative president, a man by the name of Richard Nixon, was dealing with an inflation, and he handled it in the following way. He did what's known as a price freeze. He passed a law saying that you cannot raise your prices. If you do so, there will be grave consequences. What's stopping our government now from doing that? I don't know. Maybe it's because they're bought and owned by the same corporations and businesses that are raising the prices and causing the people to incur these many, many difficulties. But as I end this video, I want to give to you other areas that have experienced inflation. Now, look, I didn't go into extreme detail about inflation. There are many ways inflations can incur. There are many ways you can prevent inflations. Okay, that's not really the premise of this video, is to really divulge into inflation. I just want to inform you that the way that you're hearing this being talked about is indeed incorrect. But I want to, since inflation means a general rise in prices, what I want to do is give to you a couple of sectors of the economy, three in particular, where prices have dramatically raised, but you haven't heard anything about it. Rent. The price of rent has risen exponentially over these last couple of decades. Education. If you're a college student, or if you have kids that are in college, or if you plan to go to college in the future, you know you don't have the money to pay for it most likely. You're going to have to take out loans and incur a lot of student loan debt, and paying back those loans are going to be near impossible. Need I remind you that we have a student debt crisis in this country to the tunes of 1.7 trillion. Healthcare cost. This is a well-known fact. We here in America pay the most for our healthcare and receive mediocre care. We pay more for drug prices than every other developed country combined. Public Citizen put out a report showing that the pharmaceutical industry make the vast majority of their profits here in the United States, because we're the only country they can really price gouge, because every other country negotiates for lower drug prices for their citizens. We don't. Three areas of the economy where prices have exponentially gone up, but the mainstream media and the politicians haven't raised a funk about it. They haven't talked about it. But as soon as your box of Fruit Loops and your local Publix is 30 cents higher, or all of a sudden gas costs $4 now, everybody hair on fire reaction. Oh my God, I can't believe it. This is insane. Realize that you're being had. You're being had. You're being tricked. You're being fooled. You're being bamboozled. This isn't being talked about in an honest way. It isn't. If anybody on television tells you, hey, this current inflation that we have is because of this, or specifically because of that, or workers shouldn't make this much because you'll have to pay that much for whatever this is that you then want, it's a lie. And if you believe that, then I have a spot to sell you on the Golden Gate Bridge.